I have the great honor to welcome you in Basel in the name of Basel government. My name is Beat Jans. I am the mayor or governor, if you want, of Basel, and I'm very proud to have you here, to have the Basel Peace Forum here in Basel. Basel is a very international city. Basel is located where Switzerland borders Germany and France. A big part of our city, of our agglomeration, if you want, is actually abroad. So we, in our daily business as a government, deal with international affairs. And we've learned that it's much easier if we go together than if we work against each other over the borders. Basel is also very international because it hosts two major corporates with Novartis and Roche. And the economy, that's what we learned, has globalized, is international. These enterprises, they operate in more than 100 countries. So economy is globalized. And therefore, we are convinced that also peace can and has to be globalized. Also, the social aspect of development needs globalization. And that's why we are very proud to have the Basel Institute here in Basel and to host this conference. And I welcome you very warmly. Thank you.
Dear participants, dear Beat Jans, President of the City of Basel, thank you very much for this very nice introduction, almost flattery introduction for Swiss Peace. This is the final panel of this first half day of the Basel Peace Forum. It is, if I may say so, the most prestigious panel of this forum. It is a mayor's panel, as we have called it in the preparation. It is also a mayor's panel in reality and in its composition. We have with us a total of 5 mayors from very different cities. We do have here also live in Basel on the podium Miss Shkodra, Miss Voltana Ademi from the city of Shkodra in Albania. Welcome, Voltana.
Thank you.
We do have Mrs. Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr remotely, the mayor of Freetown in Sierra Leone. We do have a mayor and minister in the commune of Youpogon, part of Abidjan in the Côte d'Ivoire, Mr. Gilbert Koné Kafana. Welcome, Monsieur le Ministre. And we do have Mayor Svante Myrick, remotely also from the city of Ithaca in the state of New York in the USA. Welcome also, Svante Myrick. So with so many prestigious persons on a panel, the structure becomes difficult and easy at the same time. Difficult because we would have so much to say and to listen to for a rather short time. Easy in a sense that as all these persons have so much to tell us, that I asked each of them to present one major idea, past, ongoing, or future project, and to present it in a maximum of 5 minutes to the audience to get an idea of the richness and the diversity of their ongoing activities related to the promotion of peace in a broader sense. And I got a hint about the direction of in which their presentation might be going, but I don't know exactly what they will be saying us, so I'm also very much intrigued to listen to them, and I hope that we will still have a short time to discuss and to exchange among them once they will all have spoken. And having said this, and also due to the fact that he is not only the mayor of the host city, but that he also will have to leave us a little bit before the panel ends, I hand over to the first speaker, Beat Jans.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and hello to all the participants of this panel. I'm honored to discuss with you about the contribution of cities to peace. First, what we do a lot of projects. We have to highlight here only two. One, of course, we heard it today. I think it's a duty for all the cities to contribute to climate protection. And we as a city, we've decided, as a government, we've decided it's a major task now for us. It's one of our capital tasks within the next 4 years to do our part, to save this planet. We heard that the climate warming is going to be not just an injustice for lots of countries that will suffer tremendously. It's also going to be a tremendous source of conflict, and therefore we have to do all we can do, to stop this warming of the climate. And we have decided to become climate neutral by 2040, and now all departments work on achieving that goal. We've decided to spend $500 million in infrastructure projects to make sure that the warming system all over the city can be renewable and doesn't depend on fossil fuels anymore in the future. So that's one of the highlights I wanted to give you, and I think I feel a huge support by the population. The Basel people, they are convinced that we can achieve this goal. And the other project I wanted to mention is a very young one. I think bringing peace forward also means building bridges, raise the understanding for other cultures, for other countries with other maybe bigger problems than we have in Basel. And therefore we started a project with Youpogon, and I'm very pleased to see Gilbert, Kafana, the mayor of Youpogon, on the screen here. We decided to make city partnership where we bring different aspects of the development of Youpogon forward. We want to support their health system, a cooperation with the Swiss Tropical Institute to build hospitals there and to develop their health system. Also their education system we want to support by helping building schools. Also there will be an exchange on the cultural level. The Basel Theatre has a project together with theatres or actors in Youpogon. So on several levels, we're building now a partnership, and I think it's a very nice and very, very strong way to create understanding between different cultures and cities with different needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beat Jans. And Well, Gilbert, Koné, Kafana, you have been mentioned. Vous avez été mentionné. Et j'ai le plaisir de vous passer la parole. The mayor of Youpogon will be speaking in French, but I will give a short translation of the main points immediately after he will have spoken. Vous avez la parole, Monsieur le ministre.
Merci pour l'opportunité que vous me donnez de m'exprimer à l'occasion de la 6e édition du Basel Peace Forum qui se tient présentement à Bâle. J'aimerais, avant de rentrer dans le vif du sujet, saluer l'ensemble des participants à ce panel. Mes remerciements vont surtout à l'endroit de M. Goetschel, président du Conseil d'État du canton de Bâle, qui, grâce à l'accord de coopération signé avec le Youpogon, mettra en œuvre plusieurs projets de développement urbain et en matière de santé, d'éducation, d'économie et de culture à l'effet de renforcer les équipements communautaires de notre commune. J'aimerais à présent aborder la problématique qui nous réunit ce soir et qui s'inscrit dans la dynamique des politiques stratégiques des villes pour le développement durable pour la paix. Il faut retenir que la commune de Youpogon est la plus grande commune du district d'Abidjan avec 1 500 000 habitants, également la plus grande commune de la Côte d'Ivoire dans son ensemble. C'est une commune donc, qui a une grande potentialité et qui constitue un attrait pour les populations venant de l'intérieur du pays et même des pays voisins. Face à cette montée démographique et aux défis sociaux qu'elle comporte pour l'équilibre et la paix, la commune de Youpogon adopte plusieurs projets, adopté plusieurs approches stratégiques sectorielles inspirées des objectifs des ODD afin d'améliorer les conditions de vie de ces populations. Je peux m'attarder sur 4 approches. Il s'agit premièrement de la planification de l'aménagement urbain. Cette stratégie nous permet, à travers un budget triennal, d'engager un certain nombre de projets, notamment en matière d'aménagement de la voirie pour la mobilité urbaine, la construction de marchés, comme vous en connaissez en Afrique, qui constituent donc des lieux de lutte contre la pauvreté et la réalisation de structures socio-éducatives, à savoir des établissements scolaires et des centres de santé. Le deuxième axe stratégique, c'est le renforcement des infrastructures publiques de base. Il s'agit donc de la réhabilitation et l'équipement des établissements existants en matière de santé et d'éducation. Le troisième axe, c'est la promotion de la politique de l'action sociale. L'objectif de cette stratégie vise à réduire les inégalités sociales. À cet effet, plusieurs initiatives sectorielles sont mises en œuvre à l'endroit des couches sociales les plus défavorisées. Dans le secteur de l'éducation, santé, l'éducation, nous avons chaque année 7 000 prises en charge qui sont offertes aux enfants des jeunes qui sortent de familles défavorisées. Dans le secteur de l'emploi, nous avons mis en place un dispositif appelé plateforme de services qui met en œuvre le renforcement de l'employabilité pour la formation et l'insertion des jeunes qui ont un diplôme ou qui n'en ont pas du tout. Et en plus, nous assistons plus de 5 000 jeunes par an pour obtenir le permis de construire qui leur permet de faire face donc à leur auto-emploi. En matière de santé, la commune fait la promotion de la couverture maladie universelle. C'est un dispositif national qui est nouveau et il importe donc que les populations qui n'ont pas d'assurance s'inscrivent dans ce dispositif. Le quatrième axe, c'est le dialogue interculturel pour le vivre ensemble. La commune de Youpogon constitue donc, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, rassemble un certain nombre de populations d'origine diverses et il importe donc par leur diversité que nous puissions mener des activités qui rassemblent. Au niveau des jeunes, nous avons élaboré un certain nombre de centres d'espaces sportifs pour permettre aux jeunes de s'épanouir et de cultiver le vivre ensemble. Au niveau de la culture, au-delà donc des centres que nous venons de réaliser, qui comportent aussi bien, comment dire, une bibliothèque que donc, la promotion d'entreprises nouvelles. Donc, et ensuite, nous avons une bibliothèque à ce niveau-là. Au niveau de la cohésion sociale, toutes ces communautés, nous les avons organisées pour qu'ensemble, ces communautés, en se côtoyant, essayent de cultiver la politique du vivre ensemble pour donc assurer donc, comment dirais-je, la cohésion sociale dans la tolérance. Donc, en définitive, en ce qui concerne la commune de Youpogon, nous entretenons une politique de développement inclusive, très active, à travers plusieurs approches stratégiques dans les domaines de l'éducation, la santé, l'action sociale et le dialogue interculturel afin d'assurer le bien-être de tous pour maintenir la cohésion pour la paix dans la commune. Voilà donc ce que je peux vous dire très rapidement par rapport à notre commune, qui est donc une métropole en pleine mutation. Je vous remercie.
Monsieur le ministre, c'est moi qui vous remercie. Et je vais juste résumer en une petite partie de ce que vous venez de dire pour nos spectateurs qui ne maîtrisent pas le français. So just in a nutshell, a few points about the presentation of the mayor, Gilbert Kafana from Youpogon. So he's mayor of the largest commune and the fastest growing commune of the area of Abidjan, with between 1 and 2 million inhabitants. And they do cover some major challenges in regard to a sustainable future, which are linked to education, to transport and sanitation infrastructure in general, to economic development, and to the dialogue among different cultures. I think this last part has international components, but also national components within the different parts of the population of Youpogon. For all of this, they rely on several programs, which I will not detail right now, but I would like to stress one element because it also has a relationship to the partnership with the city of Basel. It is the promotion of young people, so education, but also encouragement to make sure that these people will not land on the street. And this aspect is also relevant for the city partnership that Beat Jans just described before. And I think if you are more interested about further elements of his speech, we will be able to provide you with them. Having said this, I would like to move on, and I think we move to not directly, but almost neighboring countries, at least looking at it from Switzerland. Mayor Aki-Sawyerr, I will be pleased to hand over to you.
Entendu un grand bruit tout à l'heure, c'est la Côte d'Ivoire qui a gagné, s'est qualifiée par 3-1 au niveau de la CAN. Donc c'est pour cela que vous avez
Merci beaucoup pour cette information. Je n'avais pas suivi aujourd'hui, mais so the Ivory Coast was successful in the Inner African Soccer Contest taking place in Cameroon, actually.
Well, I think that's a very good place for me to start. We had a draw with Ivory Coast, but unfortunately, we've just been knocked out, which is why I'm wearing my Leone Stars t-shirt, which is playing our last game. It's also why I'm not in my office. This is an important part of peace. Over the last week, since the games started, the AFCON games, we've seen more unity in our city than we've seen in years. And I think that's a very interesting reminder from my colleague mayor of the role that sport can have in peace. But coming back to what I have prepared to submit, I wanted to start off by just acknowledging that on the 18th of January, just 2 days ago, we marked 20 years since the end of the war in Sierra Leone, a brutal war that left hundreds of thousands of people dead. And on the 6th of January 1999, we actually have a very historic day for Freetown because 3,000 people died that day. That said, the absence of war is not the presence of peace. And I don't feel that at this point in time, we can really talk about having peace in our nation, nor in our city. We don't have guns being shot. We don't have, at least not regularly, actually on a more serious note, we really do not have guns being shot. But we do have challenges of youth unemployment. We have challenges of substance abuse. And for a city and a nation which post the war has been prided and awarded and recognized so often for being a model of post-conflict peace and tolerance, we find ourselves at this particular point in time more divided as a society than I can remember since the war itself, and actually in many ways more so than during the war, because the war felt like we were engaging with external parties and not Freetonians or citizens against themselves. What can we do as a city? What's the best contribution that we can make towards meaningful peace? As others have said, I feel that there are two things where we can make a big difference. One builds upon the other, and vice versa. And those are, firstly, addressing the climate crisis, which is already here, but certainly at risk of getting much worse. And secondly, ensuring that we provide gainful employment for our very young and growing youth population. 65% of people in our city are under the age of 35. And youth unemployment is over 65%. That's a recipe for conflict in due course, and certainly for that, the nature of the peace or lack of peace that I described before, the one that you have even in the absence of conflict. So our focus as a city has been job creation whilst addressing climate. And we do that through our Transform Freetown agenda, where our first priority sector is environmental management, and we are increasing vegetation cover by 50%. In order to do this, we're planting 1 million trees. Hashtag Freetown the Tree Town. We have already planted 557,000 over the last 2 rainy seasons. And we've actually just yesterday, hip, 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 big news for us. We were just awarded one of the 15 winners of the Bloomberg Global Mayor's Challenge, which is giving us $1 million, which will go towards planting the remaining 450,000 trees, giving us the $1 million, but significantly will also help us to invest in impact investment platform so that we can actually continue to enable individuals and corporates to invest in more trees and in the protection of the trees that we plant. We're also working on a system of carbon offsets, which we hope will be launched through this intervention. In all that I've just described, we're creating thousands of jobs. We've already created almost 1,000 in the last 2 years. And the design of the remaining period of Freetown the Tree Town with the introduction of the impact investment platform will see us creating more. There are other sectors such as sanitation and urban transport where we're dealing with addressing both climate and job creation. So in a nutshell, 20 years on from the end of a conflict, we are here still not truly at peace. There are many factors which contribute to that. But what I've just described is part of the contribution that my city is making towards achieving peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Aki-Sawyerr, for this input. And we will move on to Mayor Svante Myrick.
Thank you very much. It is a real pleasure to be with you all virtually. I wish I could be with you in person. This is a tremendously positive program, and I'd like to tell you why. So first, in order to understand why cities can be important vehicles for peace, it's important to understand what is special about cities. What folks often misunderstand when they see a city, because it looks so, frankly, urban. It looks so built. Concrete jungle is what it's often called. It looks so unnatural that people forget that a city is actually the most natural thing in the world. And a city is a system that works just like natural systems do. And in a natural system, what folks misunderstand is how important cooperation and collaboration is for mutual success. Let me explain what I mean. In America, we have redwood trees. I don't know if everybody knows these, redwoods. They are the tallest, largest living organism, larger even than blue whales. They can themselves look like skyscrapers when you see them up close. These trees are so large, you couldn't possibly put your arms around them. They live for hundreds and hundreds of years. And when you first see a redwood tree, your first thought is often how deep the roots must go. That the roots must go hundreds of feet below the surface in order to support the weight of that tree. That's a common misunderstanding, and a misunderstanding that people often have about each other. What's true about redwood trees is that their roots barely break the surface of the soil. Instead of going deep down into the ground, they actually branch out and interlock with the roots of the redwood trees that are around them. This is how they reach such great heights, is by literally leaning on each other. I found that to be true here in Ithaca. It has been my pleasure to be the mayor of Ithaca for the last 10 years. We have done so many things that I'm proud of, from reimagining our police department and creating a new model of public safety that does away with the old style of American policing and prioritizes civil rights by dispatching both armed and unarmed personnel. We've also started a Green New Deal here in Ithaca that's already attracted $500 million. In a city of just about 40,000 people, we have $500 million of private equity investment that is going to help us decarbonize every building in the city of Ithaca by the year 2030. We'll be the first in the nation and possibly the first in the world to do it. And Ithaca is special for a lot of ways, but the thing I'd like to speak about today is what I feel like Ithaca can most contribute to a peaceful world, and that is to create more Ithacans. Ithacans are what we call people who live in Ithaca. And I understand, and so too do the people of Ithaca, that the responsibility in a place that has plenty of fresh water, that is resilient to hurricanes and tornadoes, monsoons, and earthquakes, that has plenty of agriculture, as well as employment opportunities because of our universities, like Cornell University, which is here in Ithaca. The best thing we can do is make room for more Ithacans. So I want to tell you about May Few, a prominent women's rights activist in Myanmar, or she was until April of this year, when the military chased her, her husband, her son, and her 2 daughters 8,000 miles away to refuge here in the city of Ithaca. I want to tell you about Pedro Molina, a cartoonist, an editorial cartoonist who makes political cartoons in Nicaragua, or at least he did, until December of 2018, when President Ortega's government began to actively hunt down and arrest independent journalists. And when his office was raided and his computers were confiscated, he was able to escape with his family to Ithaca, New York. In 2015, at the height of the Syrian refugee crisis, when the United States was really at war with itself about how many people we could afford to take, the city of Ithaca recognized that we are actually interconnected, and that accepting refugees from Syria, the dozens of refugees we've since accepted from Afghanistan, from Myanmar, from Tibet, has only made our country stronger and more resilient, and only made our city more interesting and more prosperous place to live. Maybe the best example of this is that in 1991, a group of Tibetan refugees settled in Ithaca, and then the next year even more settled, and then the next year even more. And now Ithaca is not only home to a beautiful and thriving monastery, but it's actually the North American home of the Dalai Lama, and is going to be the home of, was just announced, the home of His Holiness's first official library, collecting the writings and artifacts from the past 14 lives of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This recognition is, it's not that it's unique among cities, it's not. But in cities, we recognize more maybe than in other places, that living with each other, like learning how to work around each other, learning how to get used to each other's food, each other's accents, learning how to accommodate each other's houses and businesses, even if it means a little bit of traffic or a longer wait for the train. I really regret that I could not be in Switzerland. Nothing pleases me more than watching a train come on time. I'm just that kind of a nerd. So hopefully next year, that is worth it, that the trade-offs we get in exchange for making room for each other is the ability to reach out, interlock our roots with the roots of other peoples, and achieve even greater heights. Basel Peace Forum understands that, and that's why you do what you do, and I appreciate you making space for us mayors for this discussion on cities.
Thank you very much, Mayor Svante Myrick, for this very nice complimentary contribution also to our endeavor. And with this, we move back to the presence panel here where we started our round. And Voltana, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and being here. It's the first time I'm in Basel. And I come from Shkodra. I am the mayor since 2015. Shkodra is one of the biggest municipalities in Albania, is the third one. And I am the only mayor representative of the opposition in Albania. Maybe it does not make sense for you why I am emphasizing it, but it makes sense for us because we have to take in consideration that Albania is a country in transition, in development somehow, and when it comes to the local government, we talk a lot about decentralization, and when we talk about decentralization, we talk about people. We talk about the communities, about services, what we offer, what is expected from them to have from the government, local government. And sometimes you do not have everything in your hands and you have to find solutions. We had a reform, an administrative reform in 2015. It was made by law, so the parliament decided to change the boundaries. Instead of having one city, the municipality of Shkodra, 11 ex-communes municipalities merged together by law in one administration. And it was served by politicians like a solution that, yes, after the reform, everything will be solved. You'll have water, you'll have all the services, better schools, everything. And I was elected the mayor after the reform. And to give an example, we faced at that moment a lot of problems, and I had in my office hundreds of people coming from all the units all around, and you have to take in consideration that Shkodra now, instead of being, it is 51 times more as an area, more than it was before. And the population is double, 212,000 people. So people were expecting to change and to have services, but in the moment, no one was there, no offices in place, no services in place, administrative and public services, and we had to move quickly to change and to offer and to be there. I was giving the example, hundreds of people outside the door to wait to sign all the documents, the certificates, and everything coming from so far away, kilometers far away, to have a service in the municipality, in the center of the city of Shkodra. We thought and we tried to change based on the needs and asking to people. In Albania, we have a low level of decentralization. We do not have so much money for our services. Being so centralized, we suffer from the national financial investments. Sometimes these investments are decided by politicians which are not in your side. We are in a position. So at that moment, we thought to work with people and to find a way of solution. What we have done in these 6 years. Our solution was to find a possibility to be in the grassroots with the services, to use the infrastructure, the old infrastructure, renovate it and use it in a multifunctional way for public services, public administrative services, for health, for education, for kindergartens, like a multifunctional polycentric centers for being here and to serve people. It helped us not only to be there, and what we have done, we have used the old buildings, or what we have inherited from the ex-units, ex-communes. We have rebuilt it with our own resources, and we try to shift and to shape somehow our infrastructure, our structure organization to be there in the grassroots. Because this was the emergency we have faced, and it remains the emergency when it comes to deliver services like not only public ones, administrative ones, but it was the same lack of kindergarten, lack of infrastructure, proper infrastructure for schools, lack of water supply, or lack of roads, because we are talking for the remote areas. Building peace means sometimes, for us, it is like developing the city in a very balanced way. Because sometimes you have the city, which is very urban, you have the services there, but you have, on the other side, the half of population in the very remote village areas. So, in this case, you need to find a balanced way to be there, to give the services, and to find a way to try to find the financial management, financial and support to build the city. When you do not have other money from the government and you have to self-government with the population, with the citizens, and improve better. This, we have been trying to do this last 6 years in our municipality of Shkodra, and because of that, we have been awarded for the improving of our public services with the one-stop shops we have in each unit in all the area, starting from the mountains and ending to the sea. We have been awarded for the financial transparency and the management. We use our resources using the innovation and the technology. This was the other instrument we have used with the training and improving our administration, public administration. And on the other side, to have more revenues to invest, to improve, we needed to involve people. We finance, like you, I think, the services based on the fees we have, or based on the contribution of people. It's very difficult, especially in the poor areas, to involve people, to contribute. We started to work and to talk with them in these centers, in the community centers there, try to involve them and make sure that they can participate in the decision-making. It is not, like I'm saying, it is a huge work we have done to involve them, not only to decide what to do, but to contribute to double the money and the financial support the municipality has for improving. And each year we improve and we do better. I brought this example to say that the problem of municipalities and of the cities, sometimes it is linked with the migration. So in the case of the big cities like Shkodra, in the case of Albania, the challenge to manage rural agriculture, very remote mountain areas with the city, where the city is urban and the other areas, the lack of services is there. And you have to find a way to improve is a very big difficulty, and you have to do it with people. Our success was based especially in the contribution and the participation of people doing it. And on the other side, basically we have tried to train our administration to improve and to use the technology. So we have one-stop shops giving the services there are 14 instead of having one. So we have renovated 14 buildings and 14 integrated informatic system to improve and to give services in the real time, in the same standard, not only for urban but also for the rural area. We have the same integrated system when it comes to the multifunctional social centers. We have in 14 our units in all the municipality. So we work there with the families and we support the families. We use these spaces also for involvement and taking people in the participation. And on the other side, we try to use all these spaces for improving and decide what to do and to count, to make possible that the administration make reports to them and works with them for further improvement.
Thank you very much, Shkodra. I have one question here which came up from Daniel Mack. He's from the Pathfinder initiative dealing also with SDGs and the role of cities in Geneva. And the question is directed to the mayors of Freetown and of Ithaca. So Svante, Myrick and Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. And it's not very long, I just read it out. What could you learn from each other in terms of peace and violence reduction programs and policies, despite very different contexts? And what are the best mechanisms for cities to learn from each other? So I give you 3 seconds to think it over. So the 3 seconds are over. And Svante, I have the feeling you would like to start.
Yes, I'm just always, I am a middle child. which I don't know if this is universal or just specific to the United States, but I am always pleased to start talking. Do not often get a chance to, so I'm just always happy to start. Kind of a difficult question to answer. What could we learn from each other? I've had the pleasure of meeting the mayor before, and I've always been astounded by her, frankly, her boundless optimism. You know, even today, after being bounced from the tournament, is not only still participating with us, but focusing on the positive, which is how well they did comparatively. I also think the best, I can answer maybe the second part of that question easier than the first, which is what is the best way to learn from each other? First, connecting people, and I meant that what I said about the Basel Peace Forum. There really is no substitution for people talking directly to each other. And increasingly in a virtual world, we are talking about each other, we are talking past each other, we were even talking at each other, but not getting a chance to talk to each other. And so putting folks in a room, even if it's a hybrid virtual room, so that mayors get a chance to exchange ideas is a great thing. And then the last thing I'd say is trusting mayors. You know, mayors are around the world the most popular form of elected official, more popular than prime ministers, presidents, more popular than legislators. Why is that? I think I can speak for my compatriots here. It's because we are funnier, better looking, and more charming than the others. No, I'm kidding. It is because, of course, it is because we are the closest to the people. You know, we get to live inside of our work in a way that folks who may be higher up the ladder are more disconnected from the everyday struggles of people. So getting mayors together in a room always breeds excellent, positive results.
Thank you very much, Svante, for this very nuanced answer. Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr.
Thanks very much. Yes, I think I really agree with the answer, you know, better looking, smarter. That's why mayors are more liked. On a more serious note. You know, I listened with a little twinge of jealousy as Svante just talked about $500 million, and we are rejoicing over $1 million as a win. And this is a city, when I came into office just under 4 years ago, the annual budget, the own source revenue from property tax was actually about $4 million, a city of 1.2 million people, in contrast to the size of Ithaca. So the scale of our problems are definitely very different. But there is something that was mentioned, and I think this is where you can actually look at context, and you can still learn from each other, even though our situations might be different. There are still parallels and still similarities. And the analogy that Svante gave with regards to the tree, to me speaks of more things than he said. It really resonated with me from the perspective of participation. And when we talk about peace, I think this is another area where we can actually bring our populations into governance. And I found that this is a very effective way of ensuring that even though we are challenged, and like my colleague mayor, who is, I'm also opposition. I'm opposition in the capital city, and a woman like yourself. So I feel your pain. And I can understand what it means to not be able to deliver the basics. But in the same way that those roots of the tree support each other, when you bring your population and you engage with them and you have conversations with them and they feel like we're all in this together, which is what you were just saying, I think that's something that it resonates with me. So being able to look beyond our specific differences, but still learn from the general principles is a way that we can learn from, you know, cities in Albania, cities in the US, cities in Ivory Coast, who are still in the tournament, even though our specific situations may be different.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Shkodra, you were mentioned. Would you like to add something, or
Yes,
you don't need to? It's
the
up to you.
crucial. Okay, all the mayors are mayors everywhere. We come from different contexts, different challenges, but we put the same effort using the same philosophy. It means that if we are serious and we believe that we can change, because yes, we are elected to do it, we represent, and we have the duty and the responsibility. At the end, we have the same way to do and to improve. Involve, participate, decide, report, be criticized, why not? Hear, and after that change and try to do our best. Sometimes to use our professionalism. Myself, I am a computer science engineer, and I use what I know better to improve the working in progress. So I think we have something in common, which is, yes, we represent, and because of that, being representative of the communities we have, and being with them, living with them. I am mayor when I eat, when I stay with my child and with my family. I am always the mayor. When I sleep, I am the mayor. Someone can call me. So we have all the time the responsibility, and at the end we have to deal with a lot of problems, so we have to solve it not alone, but with people. I think that this, for me, and for many, and for you, is the crucial thing to solve and to overpass the problems and to improve.
Thank you very much, Shkodra. So I realize we have slightly overstepped time already, so I don't want to make it much longer. I have one more question in the chat, but before I take it, I would like to check if there would be any question in the audience here. We have microphone ready to take. Any? Yes, there is one in the back there, please.
Thank you, Claude Begley. Cities, as opposed to villages, are by definition pluriethnic places of people from many different backgrounds. What is your recipe to federate with one common view the different citizens of a city so that they live peacefully together?
Thank you very much, Claude Begley. Claude Begley, by the way, is a former member of parliament from the then still called Christian Democratic Party in Switzerland. So he asked about a recipe, not for cooking, it's somewhat more complex. Who would like to start? Maybe I don't know, Gilbert Kafana from Abidjan. Vous avez à nouveau la possibilité de répondre en français si vous le voulez, mais l'idée, la recette pour fédérer différentes entités populaires qui se retrouvent dans un cadre urbain, je pense que Youpogon est un très bon exemple.
D'abord, vous savez, en ce qui concerne le Youpogon, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, nous avons une commune que l'on dit la Côte d'Ivoire en miniature. Ça veut dire que vous avez toutes les régions, tous les groupements, toutes les ethnies se retrouvent dans notre commune. De sorte qu'un événement, un incident qui se produit à Youpogon a un retentissement national, pour ne pas dire international. Alors pour ce faire, donc, nous faisons en sorte, parce que, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure dans mon exposé, les communautés sont organisées et chaque communauté a un chef de communauté. Et nous faisons en sorte que tous les événements que nous organisons, que ces communautés soient représentées. Et nous organisons en général des activités dans les quartiers et chaque fois, tous ces chefs de communauté, des délégations de ces communautés se retrouvent ensemble en ces lieux pour partager tous ces événements. Alors, nous avons fait comme bien d'autres, l'expérience de la guerre. Et nous savons bien ce qu'elle a donné, parce que la cristallisation était autour donc, des groupements ethniques. Et nous en avons pris la mesure et nous faisons en sorte à ce que, tout en étant organisés, que ces organisations soient plutôt bénéfiques pour la cohésion plutôt qu'opposées. Donc notre mission, bien sûr, nous élaborons des projets communautaires, mais nous faisons en sorte à ce que toutes les activités soient vécues ensemble par l'ensemble des communautés.
Je vous remercie. Je vous remercie. So, in a nutshell, the recipe from Youpogon is which really faces the small, is like a small Ivory Coast, is to try their best to make sure that as many activities as possible are perceived as joint experiences by all members and all parts of the commune. I don't know if Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr or Svante Myrick, you want to add something to this recipe? You don't have to, as time is over almost, but you may, of course. Yvonne, please.
Yes,
I will pass, even though the middle child in me wants to. I will defer to the mayor.
Okay.
I'm also a middle child, so I'm just butting you off here.
Okay.
So what I was going to say was that I've made a conscious effort to do two things. One, to refer to the people in Freetown as the residents of Freetown, and never to use the term citizen when I speak, because that's excluding. And then secondly, we're called Freetonians, a term that I coined during my campaign, and one that's really caught on. And so that enables us to build a real sense of a shared identity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. I think we are coming to the end. You felt like...
Use the word we is very important, and not me and you or there. This is not a recipe, but if we do, I think that, and it makes it, it is common, it is us. I think it helps.
Okay. So there would be now also more questions in the chat, but I think we already used 15 minutes more time than we had anticipated. So I think this is not the very end, but it's the preliminary end of this exchange. I would like to thank all the remote panelists, Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr, Svante Myrick, Monsieur le Maire Kafana, but obviously also Voltana, Ademi with me here, and Beat Jans, who had to leave for another appointment, for having taken part in this exchange. And just in one sentence, my sum up of, it's not a sum up, my take-home message from this panel is that while states are of course very interesting and very important, for me at least, they tend to be very often contained in structures which do seem very rigid and not very progressive, for whatever reasons we cannot discuss here. And cities who really represent major elements of the respective countries, who have at least as much political legitimacy as states have, do show many original initiatives facing sometimes, and I would say more than sometimes, problems which are not so different than states are facing. So it is worthwhile, in our view, to give more attention to initiatives and ideas coming from cities, and who is better positioned to make such suggestions than mayors. So thank you very much to all of you. Wishing you a nice rest of the evening or of the afternoon, depending on where you're located, and hoping to stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.